But see, some of us have to know how to stay in the wilderness. Some of us want to run out too fast. But we don't understand that God can bless in the midst of a mess. We are living in a time of a mess. Time people aren't trusting in God. Time people aren't believing in God. Time people aren't trusting in God. Time that they are leaning in God. Time that they're not praying in God. Time that they're not speaking in God. Time that they're not calling out God's name. Tell somebody we living in the time of a mess. Come on, John, let's get out of here. Tell somebody that we are living in a hardship time. That we are living in a stuck rock time. But I know God is able to bring us out. If he brought me to it, he will. He will. Yeah, he will bring me through. Tell somebody, in order to get your breakthrough, you first must do something. You can't get through if breaking don't take place. In order to receive your breakthrough, you gotta break through the wall. Tell your neighbor, pick up your spiritual weapon and break through your wall, because that's the only way the wall is gonna come down. But I need you to know, you don't have to find your equipment, but God will provide you like he provided David with just what he needed. I'm so glad that God is able to do everything in my life. I'm so glad that the Bible told me that God is able to do it far more abundantly and beyond that we can ask for or that we can think of. Tell your neighbor, I feel real good here, because there's things that I've been asking God and he's giving it to me. But there are some things that I haven't even thought about. Don't act like it that you haven't received some things and you saw that it was good and you said, I didn't even ask for it, but thank you anyhow. You never had nobody come and put something in your hand and say, here you go. And say, we wrong. I wasn't even expecting that. I know y'all got cash out now. You ain't never heard one of them ching and said, oh Lord, I wasn't even expecting that. But thank you anyhow. God is getting ready to bless me and my house with things we haven't thought of. God is getting ready to bless me and you with things we haven't even asked about. Somebody say it's according to the power that works within us. You gotta know, if you got Holy Ghost power, then the power works within you. Use your power. Didn't I tell you while you was eating your appetizer? Life and death is in the power of the tongue. I'm telling you, power dwells in me. Power is lying within me. Somebody say power. Somebody shout power. Somebody shout power. Shout power. Shout power. Shout power. Shout power. Power to heal. Power. Power to deliver. Oh, power. Power to inspire. Somebody. Shout power. The power to walk. The power to talk. The power to live right. The power to do right. Somebody shout power. Somebody shout power. Shout power. Shout power. Shout power. Yeah, power. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody say I got power. Somebody say I have power. Somebody say I have power. I have power because I have the man that's named after and no neighbor. I have power from the man that's the beginning and the end. Somebody say I got power in my life because I know where my power came from. My power came from a man that came and walked on this earth for 33 years. Tell your neighbor, power is what he did. Power is who he is. Power is what he has. Power, wonder-working power, delivering power, saving power. I don't care who you are, but God has it. The power to do everything that your wife needs, that your husband needs, that your sister needs, that your brother needs. Somebody say God. Shout God. Shout God. Yeah. Oh God. Somebody say He got it. Somebody say I'm so glad. Somebody say I'm so glad. Somebody say I'm so glad that God gave me power to remember. He gave me power. The whip power. Oh yeah. He gave me power. He gave me power. Now I know some of y'all have eaten your appetizer. And you eating your entree. But tell some folks they can't leave without a dessert. And tell your neighbor there's no other greater dessert than one Thursday evening. They hung him high and they stretched him wide. But I told the folks like this, the old preacher would say, man, you didn't preach unless you did the Calvary thing. I began to understand why it was so important to them. Because what greater story is the story of ultimate love? What greater story than showing agape love? What greater story than it is to be able to tell somebody the purpose of life, the purpose of church, to receive Jesus Christ. And I'm so glad that when they hung him high, they didn't realize that in his word, he said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw on me. Tell somebody he was lifted up Thursday evening. Oh, y'all. He was lifted up, straight up high. And they stretched him wide. But when they stretched him as far to the east, to the west. They didn't realize when they opened his arms. He said, come on unto me and I'll receive you. So you can't receive nobody with some clothes on. But tell somebody that God sent his son to be lifted up and for his arms to be stretched wide to tell the people that if we come and if we draw near, that he will openly receive us. Tell somebody they lift him and they didn't realize that they took him higher above them. Tell somebody I'm so glad didn't come out. The pureness came out. The cleansing came out. Water came out. Tell your neighbor that I need God on the inside of me. I need cleansing on the inside of me. Tell your neighbor they did everything but one thing. But one thing. The one thing that they could not do. They could not kill him. They could not make him be removed from this world. But I'm so glad that the love he showed, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. But I'm so glad that for me he died. For me he died. For you 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 he died. But tell your neighbor, he had a rich man named Joseph that he didn't have to buy a new house. He didn't have to go and rent a VIP. He didn't have to go and check into a hotel. But his room was already laid out. Tell your neighbor, he didn't need to sign a lease because he already knew that I'm only here temporary. This isn't my final resting place. But tell your neighbor, the place I'm in, God is telling me, well done, my good and faithful servant. But know that when he said it, it wasn't at a funeral, but only one assignment had been completed. But tell your neighbor, I'm made in the image of Christ, and that once this assignment is completed, Jesus went on and stayed in there all night Thursday. He stayed in there on Friday morning. He stayed in there on Friday night. He stayed in there on Saturday morning. He stayed. He stayed. He stayed on Saturday night. But at some point in time, he went to hell and kicked in the gates. And he said, upon my rock, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Do I have one witness? Do I have one witness that know that God, that God, that God, that God, that God, God is able? Somebody say he's able. Somebody say he's able. Somebody say he's able. He's able. I know he's able. Because early, one Thursday morning, one Sunday morning, he got up with power. Ow! There's that word again. Wow! Somebody say ow! Power! Yeah. Look at somebody and tell them, guess what? God got power in his hand. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm going to wave my hand because I got power in my hand. Tell somebody I got power in my feet. And tell somebody I'm stepping on my power. I'm praising on my power. Somebody give him praise. Give him praise. Come on, give him praise in here.
Here that's not afraid to get at least 3 feet apart and come give God a praise right now.